Here, legends of professional wrestling. And this week, you better believe it. You better believe it right now. We got the best. So forget the rest right here at your source of community TV, Revered TV, with who? The Boston Bad Boy. Often imitated but never duplicated, not in this lifetime. No, this show isn't about Lou Albano. This show is about Classy, Freddie Blassie, the Pacific Coast champion. He came to the WWF, destroyed everybody, ripped everybody open, ripped their eyes open, ripped their heads open. He ripped everybody apart. He killed everybody. You wouldn't believe the things that he did on TV. They used to have to put an X on the TV so you couldn't see what he was doing. There was more blood flowing. It wasn't like today, the days of professional wrestling with the entertainment end of it. It was professional wrestling. And you spelled his name, capital Blassie. Let's go to some of those pictures that we got of Fred Blassie. Right here, you got a picture of Fred Blassie on the cover of Wrestling Review against John Tolos. They had many, many battles at Mike LaBelle's promotion out in California. That's right, the America's champion. You see fiery Fred Blassie in a dog collar match. He was ripping the head open, ripping everybody apart like I told you on Wrestling Review. They don't have these great magazines anymore. You can't get them in stores. You cannot get them anywhere, I don't think. But this is a great, great shot of the fiery one, Fred Blassie, gnawing on the forehead of John Tolos. And here's another shot of the fiery one, Fred Blassie. He's filing up his teeth. He's got a chain in his mouth. He had the nice, unbelievable wrestling jackets. He had clothes that would match. He was called Classy Freddie Blassie for a reason, because he had the best clothes. He had the best matching clothes. He was the best. He was a good-looking man. He was a man. He wasn't the boy like the boys that are in this profession. I can't call it a profession anymore. When these guys wrestled, it was a profession. They had to put an X in front of the screen because the fiery one would bust you wide open and there'd be blood all over the place, and then have to X out the screen and say, children, this is not for you to watch unless you were able to, you were of age, or 18 or over, whatever they did back in the day on WLVI TV channel 56. Here's another one of the fiery one, Fred Blassie, with his white tights on and his Pacific Coast Championship belt right there. And he had some great poses. He was in great shape. Middle-aged men, as you can see. There was men back in the business. It wasn't like, like you got now on TV, guys that, they look like kids. They do the flips and flops, and it's more like a cartoon while you're watching the match back and forth. But we're going to show you later on in the program, when we get to the part of the program that we call the Mac Classics, you're really going to enjoy these matches that we got from Madison Square Garden. And here's another one of the fiery ones. He had the great, great baby blue was his favorite color. He had nice jackets. He has that Pacific Coast Championship belt that he wore around his waist. He had the baby blue tights. He had all the great shots here of the fiery one, Fred Blassie, better known as the Fashion Plate, because he had all the great clothes. And when he became a manager later on in his career, he had the matching purple with the top. He had all sorts of colors, all great colors. He was the man with the cane. He knew how to talk. He knew how to get his men out of trouble. If they were in trouble in the ring, he'd distract the referee, hit the guy with the cane, and whack him one way, whack him the other way. He'd do it all right there. The fiery one, Fred Blassie. Here's another one, channel 56, WLVI TV, and you can see in the corner of the screen, you can see Buddy Wagner, and of course, at the end of the announcement, he'd say, my name is Buddy Wagner. Or it was the other guy that was on the other station from Hamburg, and this one I believe was from Pennsylvania, but from Hamburg, the other announcer would say, my name is Joe McHugh. But you can see the fiery one, Fred Blassie, again, with the Pacific Coast champion in a nice ring jacket. He always had things to match. His boots matched his tights matched his jacket. He had that platinum blonde hair, and he was a really a big contender. He started wrestling way back in the 50s. He fought Bruno Sammartino in Madison Square Garden way back in the day. Here's another one with the fiery one, Fred Blassie, and with his protege, Nikolai Volkov. As many of you people may know him as Beppo Mongo, and later became Nikolai Volkov. And then later, Nikolai Volkov tagged up with the Iron Sheik and became one of the best tag teams in the WWF at that particular time. Fred Blassie, like I said, he always looked great. He always had hair was always perfect. He always had a great tan, and he always had the white boots. If you ever have white on, he had blue on. But whatever he had on matched. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Unbelievable gear. I wish I had some of his gear myself. Here's another one, a bloody shot of Fred Blassie. One of the bloody matches. He loved to have the blood matches. As you can see, the contrast between the red blood and the blonde hair was a big thing back in the day. As you can see, the fiery one, he was, someone probably messed him up. I don't know if he was in the ring with Pedro Morales. He had many, many bouts with Pedro, and Pedro was the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. He came in from California, Mike LaBelle's promotion. He was big, 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 big famous in California. They loved him in California. He was the America's champion, the Pacific Coast champion. He was a big, big draw at Mike LaBelle's promotion out of the Olympic Auditorium, and many, many matches around the world. He's been to Japan. He went everywhere. He was like Coca-Cola. He was all over. Here's another one right here. As you can see, the fiery one, Fred Blassie, choking out Pedro Morales in one of their many, many feuds that they had. They had many, many feuds. And like I said, back in the day, there were men in the professional wrestling. It was called professional wrestling. It was not called entertainment. There was no divas. There was no skeezers. The wrestlers, the Fabulous Moolah. She had an array of lady wrestlers: Vicky Williams, Tony Rose, Donna Christianella, Judy Martin, Joyce Grable, Leilani Kai. The names go on and on and on. They had so many girl wrestlers, but they wrestled back in the day, and some of these girl wrestlers back in the day wrestled just as good as the men. Here's another shot of Pedro and Fred Blassie, as Fred Blassie's begging off in the corner, begging off. He didn't want any more part of Pedro, and when Pedro got to fire up, he got fired up hard, and that's what he did. He was a very, very tough WWF champion. And they had to drop the belt because some of the matches that Pedro had, and the Spanish people would get so violent at the time. There was a time in Boston Garden when Pedro wrestled Blackjack Mulligan, and I believe Blackjack Mulligan got, I don't know, 34 or 40 stitches down his leg because he got knifed by a nice Spanish person. And here's one with Pedro Morales with a sunset flip. I believe that's Sunnyside Garden because I can tell because the roof is low. And you can see Pedro Morales with the sunset flip on Fred Blassie. And he got the 1, 2, 3 on him. And as you can see, he had the baby blue boots, the baby blue knee pads. And of course, he probably entered the ring with that baby blue sequence jacket that he had. Always had great attire. Always had the great attire on him. And there's another one. I believe that's a cage match. I can't tell you. Yeah, it's a steel cage match. I believe it was probably out of Philly. They had many, many battles because Pedro and Fred Blassie they had no love lost for each other, as they used to say. And they had many, many matches, whether it was a steel cage match or whatever, the Texas death match or whatever the case may be. But I'm going to tell you right now, get your grandmother out of the kitchen, get your sister off the phone, and get your brother off those dirty chat lines, because coming up very shortly is the Mad Classics. And you better believe it, and you better believe it right now, because you know why? Because Rocky Raymond told you so. And that's why you better believe it, okay? So get it ready. Get your VCR ready if you're copying these things, or I don't know how you can copy them these days with the disc or whatever, your iPod, your sister's pod, I don't know, whatever you can do. And the next picture we got coming up here, we got another one of Victor Rivera. You remember Victor Rivera? He was the Puerto Rican sensation from Puerto Rico. He was sort of like Morales, and Pedro Morales and Victor Rivera. They should have formed a tag team and became tag team champions, but Victor Rivera took off to the Continental Wrestling Federation. Actually, he was supposed to be the world champion, but at that particular time, there was a little political thing going on. They gave the belt to Pedro, and you can see Fred Blassie from behind with a blatant chokehold on Victor Rivera. Here's Fred Blassie in a tag team match with Jay Strongbow and Haystack Calhoun. Oh my good God. I'd hate to be in the ring with that Haystacks. He used to eat I don't know, dozen eggs. He used to have a, I don't know, gallon of juice, loaf of bread. Oh my good God. But I'd hate to be in the match with him. And Jay Strongbow was always ready for that baseball slide that chopped to your throat and put you in the sleeper. Oh boy, here's another one. Oh boy. There's Moondog Lonnie Main with Haystack Calhoun, and unfortunately, you got Fred Blassie in the corner. He looks like he's going to get crushed because when Haystack went forward, things started to happen. I can tell you he had a lot of pressure behind him, Haystack. He weighed 640 pounds. He was from Morgan's Corner, Arkansas. And when he gave you a pushing back and pushing, let me tell you something. It was like a freight train coming at you, crush him like a, oh boy. I'd hate to be in Fred Blassie's spot. He was in that tag match against Haystack Calhoun. I believe it was Strongbow and Calhoun against Moondog Lonnie Main. And I believe fiery Fred Blassie was stuck in the corner. Bad spot to be. And there's another one. See, I told you, he used to gnaw on you, that Blassie. He'd grab you by the head and pull your head in like it was a dessert. He used to file his teeth on TV. That's why they used to call him the vampire. The vampire, fiery Fred Blassie. He was a vampire. He used to bite people open. They put it, like I said, they put that X over the screen. And they'd say they'd exit out because they didn't want the young kids to be watching them, busting them open. He used to really file his teeth with a real file. A real file he used to do it. He used to bust them wide open, and there was blood all over the place because he loved the blood matches, like you saw in the opening with that magazine cover with John Tolis and that dog collar match. Blassie loved blood. He loved blood. Here's another one with Strongbow. I believe that's Madison Square Garden. And Blassie's begging off there because Strongbow's going into his little war dance, and he's begging off there. Madison Square Garden. That's an old picture right there from Madison Square Garden. All right, we're almost ready. I think we're ready. As you can see, we got the tag team belt on here. And we got the Mac Classic camera right here, the Bruno Sammartino cam. This is the cam that took all the pictures, all the great things. And I know that Morris is in the back room. I can smell him. I can smell the scent of him. He's here every day. I can tell you one thing, Morris. You see this belt here? You might have the New England belt, but you're never going to have this belt right here. This belt is the Tag Team Championship belt that we wore, me and Tony Rumble. You will not get the tag team belt. And October 18th, I want everybody to come down to the Wonderland Entertainment Complex. That's right. Come on down. I'm going to arm wrestle that Morris the Cat. I don't know if he's going to bring his brother, his sister. I don't know. He said he's got another brother from, I don't know, some other, I don't know. I don't even know what the story is with that Morris name. But I can tell you one thing, Morris. You're not going to get this belt. We got 18 carats of diamonds in this belt. You think you're going to win this belt, Morris? You can forget about it. All you veterans, all you senior citizens in Revere, come on down. You're going to get a nice dinner. You're going to get a $10 dish from Volari's. They're going to give you some great food, a chicken palm. We're going to give you everything. Oh, it's going to be so nice for all the veterans. It's not just going to be for one veteran. It's not going to be for the, Agent Orange. It's not going to be for the POWs. It's not going to be for the Vietnam veterans. It's not going to be for the World War II. We're hoping that the World War II gentleman will come down. I believe he's 101. I know he's over 100. We're hoping he's going to come down and eat a nice dinner from Volari's, a nice chicken cutlet. And then I hope they all come down. We're going to put lists around all these veteran halls. But let me explain one more thing. We are registered. We got a 501c. We got a number for it all. We're registered with it all. It's not just for one veterans. It's for them all. If it's not for the Wounded Warriors, it's for the POWs. If it's not for the POWs, it's for the other guys. All the guys can come down. World War II, there's no more World War I veterans left. We all know that. I hope you realize that. But if you're a veteran and you're watching my show and you want to come down for a good meal and see the sports night, come on down on October 18th From 2 to 3, we're going to eat. We're going to keep it complete. And then from 4 to 7, we're going to have the sports night. We're going to have karate, boxing, WWE wrestlers are coming down, Axe Demolition, Luke the Bushwhacker. And I heard Morris called up that jabroni. I got him in this book right here. You can forget about this phone book, Morris, okay? Your phone book don't mean nothing. You can call up anyone you want. Call up Tony Atlas, Mr. USA. Keep calling him and asking him to come down and be to back you up. It don't matter. I got Axe Demolition to back me up. That's right. So you remember the date, October 18th. That's right. 2 to 3, eat the veal cutlets and the fresh pasta. And when I get Morris in the ring, he's going to be sorry. So let's go to the part of the program that we call the Mat Classics. The crowd hates Fred Blassie, the Pacific Coast champion at this particular time. And here he is, from Puerto Rico, Pedro Morales. This will not be a wrestling match. Fred Blassie does not know too many technical wrestling moves. He bites, he kicks, he punches. And there's our belt, Pedro Morales versus the Pacific Coast champion, classy Freddie Blassie. This one's a classic. As Blassie and Morales now tie up in the ropes, and they're rolling around there. Blassie fires up with a couple of right hands, 3, 4, 5, 7 to 10 right hands now. And another big one. Morales in the corner with this vicious vampire of professional wrestling, better known as classy Freddie Blassie. Choking Morales in the corner now. Like I said, he doesn't know too many wrestling moves. Got a heavy right hand. And Morales down in the corner. Blassie in with a blatant chokehold. And our referee starting to break it up. Letting Pedro up. And Morales now looks to be winded down in the corner. Blassie choking him. Blatant chokehold by Fred Blassie. And Blassie in now from behind with the chokehold. Like I told you, there's not going to be too many technical wrestling holds in this great Mat Classic from Madison Square Garden, as fiery Fred Blassie choking down on the champion Pedro Morales. Big left hand now. And Morales sent Blassie railing. And Blassie comes back. Oh, there he goes. There he goes, the vampire. Sinking his teeth into the forehead of Morales. Morales with a big left hand now. A right hand by Blassie. Another right hand by Blassie. Morales with a left. Another left now. This is more like a boxing match. Pedro sends Freddie down in the corner now. And Blassie's starting to beg off. Morales with the left hand. A second left hand now. A third left hand. And Blassie's going crazy. Oh, Morales is going bananas on fiery Fred Blassie. Back and forth. All these barreling hands. Heavy blows to the head. Back and forth by Morales and Blassie. Morales with another left hand now. Sending a fiery one, reeling around. He's down in the corner of the fashion plate. Big boot to the midsection now. As you can see that big scar in the back of fiery Fred Blassie. And Pedro Morales rakes the eyes of the fiery one. And a big left hand now on the forehead. And Blassie looks to be busted wide open. Morales. And fiery Blassie, the fiery one now, the vampire, he's biting down on the forehead of Pedro Morales. He's going for blood. He's trying to bust him open. Yeah, Morales is lacerated. Pedro Morales. The fiery one. The vampire. There he goes now. He's sinking his teeth now into the forehead of the Latin heartthrob, Pedro Morales. Blassie's trying for a pin now. Morales with a big left hand on Blassie. Scoop slam by Morales, the first wrestling move. Morales is going up. He's up high. Oh, he hit it! He hit it! He hit the flying body press. Pedro Morales defeats the Pacific Coast champion, Fiery Fred Blassie, coming in from California. The meanest man in professional wrestling. He used to shove it down your throat. And there's a bloody Pedro Morales, busted open by the vampire, sinking his teeth into the forehead of Pedro Morales, punching and biting and choking and biting and punching. The whole match, one wrestling move, a scoop slam, and Morales flying off the top rope for the pin, and Morales putting the boots. Blassie, all messed up, all disoriented. The bloody Fiery Fred Blassie, the late, great Fred Blassie, known as the Fashion Plate, later on became the manager of Hulk Hogan. Such great names of Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik tag team champions. Pedro Morales with the Puerto Rican American flag. They love him here in New York City. Pedro Morales. And he dejected and rejected Fiery Fred Blassie, the Fashion Plate. We're coming back at you with the return match. Already in progress. Pedro and Fred Blassie, the return match. Don't go away, we got the best of Madison Square Garden. All the great matches, the legends of professional wrestling. And you see in the ring, it's Pedro Morales with his Puerto Rican American flags. Defending that title one more time here in New York City. As you can see, a bloody Pedro Morales hard-fought battle against the Pacific Coast champion. Already in progress. It's the rematch. Pedro and Fred Blassie. Blassie had not had enough in that last Donnybrook. Time for a return match with Pedro Morales. And I don't think this is going to be much of a wrestling match. Fists choking and biting. These two men hated each other. And it's Blassie pushing Morales back into the corner as he rakes the eyes of the Puerto Rican champion. He's raking and gouging, biting, trying to rearrange the facial structure of Pedro Morales. And Blassie's going to send him over the top rope. Oh, he's right in the front row as Morales lands in a section of chairs now. Pedro Morales right outside on top of the timekeeper's table. And Fred Blassie trying to maim Pedro. Oh, he rammed him into that steel corner post. That will not move. And Pedro's shoulder perhaps could be dislocated here. And the crowd's going bananas as Blassie's putting the boots to him outside the ring. The referee trying to maintain some control. Blassie back in the ring now. The Fashion Plate with the platinum blonde hair, the white tights. He sinks now. He's sinking his teeth now. Back into the forehead of Morales. Again into that steel corner post. Morales sent reeling down on the mat now. And Pedro's in some kind of a trouble here. And our referee trying to back up. Wild man Fred Blassie, better known as the Vampire, coming in from the Pacific Coast. The West Coast,
as the Pacific Coast champion. Lateral press now trying to cover the champion. And he's dropping that knee across the windpipe of Pedro Morales. 2, 3, 4, 5 times now. And Morales looks to be out. Oh, he got a scoop slam now, Big Freddie. Freddie scooped up Morales, lodging those knees down into the throat of Pedro Morales. This is the return match. The last match was at Donnybrook. And Blassie now, lateral press, just a 2 count on Pedro. Oh, the crowd here is unbelievable here in Madison Square Garden. And the fiery one, Fred Blassie now, choking on Morales, sinking his teeth into his forehead. Morales comes up with a big left hand to break it up. And Blassie's down on one knee. Morales trying to make his way to his feet. Oh, he lands a big left into the breadbasket of fiery Fred Blassie. And another left hand now sending Blassie rolling around on the mat. Big, heavy left hands by Pedro. Morales, deadly left hand now, and another one sending Blassie back with a couple of rights of his own. Biting, punching. The vampire, Fred Blassie, in with a blatant bite on the forehead of Morales. They're going back and forth. Morales bites now. Morales biting Blassie. And they're disqualifying Fred Blassie. Fred Blassie has been disqualified. He's taken off for the high grounds. And that's the last you're going to see of this man. The fiery one, Fred Blassie. And New York City's finest, ushering him out of the ring before he causes a riot. One of the most hated men in all of professional wrestling. The fashion plate, Fred Blassie. And Morales gets the fall through a disqualification. Pedro Morales. Oh yeah, this is the best of Madison Square Garden. These are the wrestlers that made wrestling what it is today. This is professional wrestling. This is not entertainment. This is professional wrestling. That's exactly what it said on the marquee. High, high, high up in Madison Square Garden. And that's exactly what you got back in the day. Good old professional wrestling. And Pedro Morales waving to the crowd. The crowd loved Pedro. The Latin heartthrob from Clahibra, Puerto Rico. High flyer back in the day. Flying body presses, drop kicks.
Someone with the living legend, Bruno Sammartino. It's BBB, the only man that can bring the oldest, the best, the foundation of professional wrestling to Boston. Here he is, the living legend, Bruno. Tell him a couple of words in Italian, Bruno.
Buongiorno a tutti voi cari paesani di qui di Boston, sono tanto contento di trovarmi qui in Boston, vi saluto a tutti e vi ringrazio sempre per tutti gli anni fa che mi avete dato tanto coraggio e supporto qui a Boston.
And remember to watch Empire Pro Wrestling, the best of the best. The living legend's going to be there, the interview's coming. Watch it from 10 to 11 on the Great 8 with who? The living legend.
Well, thank you, Rocky. Looking forward to it.
The best there is. Bruno Sammartino, be there. Welcome everyone to Legends of Professional Wrestling. This week we got a special guest right here. Look at this, Pina Colada. He's gonna give it a little jump in. Come on, do pretty for the Bravalone. Come on, do pretty. All right here one more time. Come on up. He's a good dog. Empire Pro Wrestling from 10 to 11, and watch Legends this week with this one, Pina Colada. And we're back here, Daddy-O Pally, whatever you want to call it. I hope you like those matches from Madison Square Garden. Hope you like the interview with the living legend Bruno Sammartino, who's now in the Hall of Fame. He didn't want to be in the Hall of Fame because of the Kiss My Keister and all that stuff, and the Divas bending over and all that stuff. But little did he know, birds love breadcrumbs. They just had a pay-per-view match with Sheamus, a Kiss My Arse match. So that's how much he knows, and that's how much that he realizes that wrestling will never be the same like it was when Bruno was in the ring. Bruno was a foundation. He made the foundation. And without a good foundation, the building will crumble. It's like a good mortar. If you don't mix a good mortar, you don't get a good cement. If you don't got guys that know how to build the bricks and bring the people into the seats, but they don't have to worry now. But we got a very special surprise for you this week. We're going to do another Mac Classic. We're going to do an extra Mac Classic for you. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Fiery Fred Blassie. Fiery Fred Blassie wrestled all over the world. He wrestled in Japan. He wrestled in Australia. He was in Venezuela. He went to Puerto Rico. He wrestled all over the world. Canada. He was the Pacific Coast champion. He was a mad dog. He was a mad dog. As you could see, he didn't do much wrestling. He kicked and bite and he'd throw you into the corner. He'd gnaw on you. He'd put the boots to you. He'd do all the great things. And we want to give you one more reminder about that show coming up in October. I know it's a little way away. It might be a distance. But if you go to any of these VFWs or these veteran halls, you're going to see a sign to sign up for some of the best food ever you're going to eat in Revere from Volari's restaurant. And the chef, Salvo, that's right, he come to this country from Palermo, Sicily. He makes a good gravy. He makes a good chicken cutlet, veal cutlet. They got all sorts of dishes over there. They got the shrimp dishes. They got all sorts of dishes. They got the fried calamari. They got every calamari. They got my sister's calamari over there too, you know. And they got the great liquor. They got all sorts of, I don't want to say this, but they got all sorts of tequila. Let me tell you about the other night. I went over there, had a couple of glasses of tequila. You believe me, I couldn't even feel you. Let me tell you, I was out of it completely. I had to call a cab. I had to call the guy Sean down there, car service. He had to send me a cab to drive me home. I had to pick my car up the next day because you know about drunk driving. You know about drunk driving. If I keep you drunk driving, you know how it is. Don't be a drunk. You're gonna be a punk. And if you're not driving sober, these Revere policemen will pull you over. They're about 4'4" now, but they still will pull you over, some of them. So remember, don't be drinking and driving. That's very, very important. We don't want no accidents in Revere. We got a great, great city going on. And I want to remind you, of course, about the sand sculptors coming up. You know, they're coming up pretty soon. So get ready. Get to see the sand sculpting down there in Revere Beach. We're going to have all sorts of things going on down there. And I want to thank all my sponsors that have helped me throughout the years, whether it be Calhoun's, whether it be my chiropractor Ian Bowen, whether it be Bob's Auto Body, whether it be Atlas Auto Body, whether it be all the great, great sponsors I have, Dr. Egan down there on Squire Road. And we got, of course, Laberto's. That's right, he has all the good Italian food. He's going to bake the cake down there for the 100, and I believe it's 101. I don't know. I got to talk to Morris the cat. He knows everything. He's going to put them up down there at the Senior Citizen Hall. He's going to have the list. Sign up if you see the list because we got to get a count on the food. We're starting early. If you don't sign up, you're not going to be able to get a dish. So forget about it. So if you sign up, we'll know how many dishes to cook. Salvo will be in the kitchen. We got to give them a count on the food. That's why we're putting up all these lists that are around. You might see one at Revere TV. You might see one down at the Senior Citizens. You might see one down at the Veterans of War in Wakefield. You might see one in Saugus at the sign over there. But please sign up for the food for October 18th. Come on down. Don't frown. It's going to be a great meal. You're going to have a sports night afterwards. I'm going to give Morris. I got my arm ready for Morris. And I know, Morris, zoom in, cameraman. I know what you did to me. You had that guy come in. You had that guy with the mask. You know what I'm talking about. The Patriot. He threw the stuff in my iris, burnt my iris. I couldn't see out of my eye for 3 weeks. Then he had that thing. He had that iron thing. That Mike Sharp, if you're a wrestling fan, you know what I'm talking about. Mike Sharp used to wrap that thing around his hand. He used to load that up with something and throw you off the ropes and give you a clothesline. I know, Morris. I know you've been watching those old wrestling clips, and I know the tricks you pulled on me. You got me down here on Revere TV. You caught me on a bad day. You put my arm down. Yeah, you're the New England Arm Wrestling Champion. I'll admit to it. I'll admit to it right now. But like I said, you're never going to win that tag team belt. You're never going to get that belt that's going to be on the line. Because I'm going to put the tag team belt on the line. And if I win and I beat you on October 18th, so get to all those guys down there. Tell them all in the senior citizen hall. Tell them all, go walk down Revere Street. Go walk down any street in Revere. I know you're carrying that belt around. I saw you on the last show with Salvo. You pushed me down on the chair. I had to go to the chiropractor. And that wasn't very nice. You pushed me down on the chair, you broke the chair, you hurt my back, and I got 4 injuries against me. First you hurt my hand, you fractured my hand over here, and I got a fractured hand from that arm wrestle match. I got the x-ray, and I'm gonna have my lawyer send you the bill in the mail, so you better save your nickels and dimes, and you better save them each and every day. You ever mind going and buying lunch? I know you went to lunch, you come back, you're in that room, you think you're Wolfman Jack or Woo Woo Ginsburg. You're not a DJ, okay? So forget about it. I'm gonna break your hand, I'm gonna break your back, I'm gonna make your knees quiver. And let me tell you something. I wined and dined with kings and queens. I slept in alleys and ate pork and beans. But when I get you, and I get you that night, I'm going to be eating veal palm. I'm going to be eating all that fresh pasta. And I even got a special tiramisu cake coming down. That's right, for the man that's over, I believe it's 101. You know more about it. You're the one that told me about all this. They were going to do these things. And you don't remember one thing, that when that day comes, you better be eating your Wheaties each and every week. You better be getting up every week, getting protein in your body, eating a banana, eating all the fruit you can, getting all the stamina, because when I get my hands on you on October 18th, you're going to be sorry. That's all I got to say. You're going to be sorry, and you're going to be sorry what you did to me on my last show with Salvo, and you broke the chair, and you're paying for that chair too. You broke the chair, and you're paying for my chiropractor. That's right. It's a $65 bill. I had to go to the chiropractor, my neck. You hurt 2 vertebrae of my neck. I had 2 sciatic problems, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're in big trouble. Tony Ellis isn't going to help you. He's an old man, Mr. USA or not. I know you called him up on the phone. I know you're talking to him about working out with the weights and what you're doing. You're doing curls. I know you're doing behind the neck presses. I know you're doing tricep push downs. But let me tell you something. I'm going to push you down so bad, you're not going to know what hit you. Now let's go to that extra Matt Classic.
The Grand Wizard of Professional Wrestling right here. These are the Matt Classics from the Boston Garden. And his protege at this particular time was the Cowboy Bob Duncan. Oh yeah, these are the best of Bruno Sammartino. You're going to see the best and only the best from the Boston Garden. And the referee for this match, special guest referee, Gorilla Monsoon. This is the 3rd encounter. Texas Death Style coming to the ring now, the living legend Bruno Sammartino. And of course, the Grand Wizard at ringside with all his proteges. As we mentioned earlier, Gorilla Monsoon, special guest referee. Bruno, the living legend of Boston, all the great fans of Boston, one of Bruno's favorite towns, as well as Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as well as Philly. And there's the opening bell with Bruno opening up right now with a big right hand with a heavy blow to the side of the head of Big Bobby Duncan, the big cowboy, as he gets rammed into that turnbuckle. These matches are very, very heavy and brutal, as you can see a big heavy blow to the side of the head of Big Bob Duncan. Oh, another right hand, and Bruno sends him outside the ring railing. And the crowd's going crazy here in Boston. This Patterson crowd, attendance is unbelievable at this particular time, 1976. This is the old days of professional wrestling. These were Bruno's days. These was Bruno's wrestling, and Bruno's going to show you right here on the best of Bruno Sammartino. As Big Bobby Duncan comes back now and rakes the eyes. Coming down, another heavy blow on the back of Bruno now. As you can see, the high elevation as the forearms get smashed off the back. This cowboy, Bobby Duncan from Texas. Heavy blows to the back of Bruno now. As he got him draped on that bottom rope, it's Bobby Duncan, the cowboy, with a couple of right hands. And he's choking him now outside the ring now. Looks like Bruno's almost on the outside. And they're outside now. These heavy blows by Bruno. Oh, a big right hand to the side of the head. And the crowd's going crazy here in Boston. Into the timekeeper's table. Watch out, Cookie. Watch out, don't let him get a hold. He's got that table now across the chest. Trying to pin him down now. Bruno, don't get this Abruzzi strongman angry. Unbelievable action here on the Mat Classics from the Boston Garden. And Sammartino making his way back into the ring now. And Gorilla Monsoon trying to keep control of this Texas death match. This is the third encounter now as Bruno puts a right boot to the back of the cowboy, Bobby Duncan now. And Bruno's exploding now, and this crowd's going crazy here in Boston. And Gorilla Monsoon is paying no attention to this match because he's only there for the 3 count. The winner of this match, no matter what, this is the third match, Texas Death Style. And outside the ring, as you saw earlier, Cookie, he took a run for it as Bruno knocked that timekeeper table over with Bobby Duncan's body. And Bruno continues to step on the face and choke the cowboy, Bobby Duncan, right here in Boston Garden. And they're outside the ring now, and Bruno now hammering heavy blows to the side of the face now. And the crowd's exploding to Bruno's unbelievable actions. A big knee to the side of the head now, and a scoop slam by the living legend, Bruno Sammartino. And he covers Big Bobby Duncan as Gorilla Monsoon slides in for a 2 count. As the cowboy slips out the back door. Big boot now. That cowboy, don't count out the cowboy, Bobby Duncan. He's the #1 contender for one reason and one reason only, to win the championship worn by Bruno Sammartino. Big shoulder breaker now as Bruno finds himself on the receiving end of a lateral press. Just a 2 count now, and he rolls over the back of Gorilla Monsoon. If that was an ordinary referee, we would have had problems. And another shoulder breaker now by the big cowboy. A lateral press again now, and almost a 3 count on the living legend. And they're going back and forth. Bruno ramming his head down into the canvas now, a shoulder tackle, double knockdown. Big knee to the midsection now, a heavy knee to the midsection of Bobby Duncan. And Bruno looking for a little bit of time now as he comes up with a heavy right hand to the side of the head now. This cowboy is railing all over the ring, and a big uppercut now again. And a third one. Oh, a shot to the midsection, and they're going back and forth. He's almost outside the ring again. He's over that top rope. These are the Mat Classics from Boston Garden, the best of Bruno Sammartino, as he whips the cowboy into the corner now. And Bruno now coming back with another Irish whip into that corner buckle. And the cowboy's lower back is beginning to buckle. And Bruno's ready to go now. He's ready to come in with a big boot. Unbelievable action here. Bruno coming back with another high knee to the side of the head. And Gorilla Monsoon just watching, waiting for the count, waiting for this brutal match to end here in Boston. Just a 2 count now as the cowboy slips out again. Looks like he has a foreign object now. And Bruno's coming into the ring with his own foreign object. And Gorilla Monsoon now, this is Texas Death Style. 1 for 1 here. And Bruno don't want to get rid of that 2x4. And back to the action in the ring now. It's Bruno with a big boot to the midsection, as well as following up by a right hand to the side of the head of this Texan, and another right hand sending the cowboy all over the ring. He looks like he's got spaghetti legs now as Bruno boots him in. Oh, he buried that deep into the midsection. And another right hand now. This cowboy's all over the ring. He's hit everything in this ring but the lottery. And right now outside the ring, you have Big Bobby Duncan. He's got a chair. He's got a wooden chair now. Oh, he hit Gorilla Monsoon off the top of the head of the chair. Bruno comes in with the big boot now. Oh, a right hand. The cowboy down. Bruno has that wooden chair. Oh, he creased him with it. Right across the forehead. Gorilla in for the pin. It's all over. Bruno takes it. Bruno, the winner of the match.
We're here at World Gym in Somerville. Oh, I'm so elated. I can only be here. It's me, it's BBB. We're here with the Great Eight and the living legend, Bruno Sammartino. All you people, watch it from 10 to 11. It's the best of Empire Pro Wrestling with this man, the living legend. Tell him, Bruno.
That's right. Be sure and watch it, because if you want to see the best of yesteryear and whatever, this is the place to be.
Be there.
Yeah, I'm back, and I've been thinking again. But I want you all to know we got a special thing you can watch. We're on YouTube now. So I want you to watch us on YouTube. That's right. Empire Pro Wrestling New England. And then you can watch Empire Pro Wrestling Legends and see all the shows that we've done. So far, we got all the great shows about Amber on there. We have Brittany Brown 1, 2, and 3. And of course, we got the best of the Boston Bad Boys 1 and 2. We got Bruno Sammartino on there 1, 2, and 3. We got the best of Pedro Morales. We also did the best of Andre the Giant. And of course, we did the Captain Lou Albano. The Captain right here. Captain Lou. Often imitated but never duplicated, not in this lifetime. And then, of course, we had the best of Bob Backlund, the kind of American boy. He was like back in the day. He was like Kurt Angle, but he was. I'd like to see Bob Backlund against Kurt Angle when Bob Backlund when he was in his prime. And then of course we got the best of Lou Albano in the cage with Bruno Sammartino, which nobody has that. Bruno Sammartino in the cage, and of course we have all the great ones that we just did. And this one right here is our latest one, with the best of Fiery Fred Blassie with Madison Square Garden. And then, of course, we got some other matches that you might have saw. And you can see on YouTube that famous match with Bruno Sammartino against Ivan Koloff, 1971 in Madison Square Garden. I believe it was January 1st or something like that. I'm not sure about the date. Don't quote me. But it's the most famous wrestling match on YouTube. You can go to Bruno Sammartino and you can see that match. Ivan Koloff pinning Bruno Sammartino. That's right, at Madison Square Garden. Bruno was never beat before. When Bruno got beat, slammed, Ivan Koloff jumped off the top rope with the knee drop, went across his chest. And then, of course, the following month, you had Pedro Morales against Ivan Koloff. And Koloff was defeated by Pedro Morales. And then you had Stan Stasiak, of course, later on down the line, beat Pedro Morales in Pennsylvania. And then after that, Bruno made his comeback for his reign as champion again. When you can see that match also on YouTube, you can see Bruno Sammartino defeating Stan Stasiak. The only problem with that match is I was switching the film, so I missed the ending a little bit, but I still got most of it. Bruno got whipped into the corner. He gave Stasiak the double feet to the chest, fell back, pinned him 1, 2, 3. But we did get the presentation of the belt, Bruno holding up the flags, and all the other great things that you can see. But again, you can see us on YouTube. That's right. You better believe it. You better believe it right now. You know why? Because I told you so. And it's going to be on Empire Pro Wrestling New England. That's the shows. And then you can go on Empire Pro Wrestling New England Legends, and you'll see all the shows that we do right here. Where? At your source of community cable TV. If you want the best, forget the rest. Forget about the surrounding towns because they're going down. Revere's coming up. We got it all. We're better than ESPN. We're better than HBO. We're better than all these channels you see on TV. Well, it's definitely better than some of the channels that you watch. We don't have no commercials. You get to see us straight out. There's no doubt. And don't forget don't forget Peanut and Bella. They're our mascots, and they're going to be coming back. Be back on the show. You can watch that show with Axe Demolition, and you can see Peanut and Bella was on the show. And of course, we want to again thank a very, very special thanks to our good sponsors like Bob's Auto Body, as well as my chiropractor, Ian Bowen. And then you can see Mr. Egan, and then my other chiropractor in East Boston,
Dr. Malin. I got 3 chiropractors. I'm all busted up. What can I say? I've been hit off the chair 45 times in the head. Sometimes I can't even say the ABCs. Sometimes I start with the Z, I go back to B. Then I go Z, B, B, diner, but I know how to say it. But I'm the Boston bad boy. Remember that. Often imitated, always trying to get duplicated. But there's no duplication. You can't duplicate me. I got it all upstairs here. I got all the original footage from the Boston Garden. And watch that match with Ivan Koloff beating Bruno, and watch all the great stuff from Madison Square Garden, because those were the days of wrestling, real professional wrestling. These weren't jumping beans going from side to side and left and right, and you're watching it. By the time you watch it, your head's dizzy. They talk for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. There's no real psychology to it. There's no comeback. There's no, you see the same matches over and over again because USA, they want all the stars on there every week. They're starting to change it up now. They got some new NXT guys. But if you want to watch some real good wrestling, Friday night from 8 to 9, 9 to 10, Access TV, they got New Japan wrestling. And on Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m., you got Lucha Libre Underground. And then I'm sure they got that wrestling on from Hollywood, and they got so many wrestling on. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. You got Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling, and you got TNA. I think they're going to be off the TV pretty soon, and they'll just be doing house shows. But remember one thing. If you want the best, forget the rest. Tune in each and every week. Tune in from 8 to 9, 9 to 10. Watch the legends. Watch the best of Empire Pro Wrestling, and then loop it all over again on Saturdays, and you can see all the great reruns of the shows that we do right here at Revere TV. So this is Rocky Raven, the Boston Bad Boy. We'll see you next time on Legends of Professional Wrestling.